All right, with me today is Seth, a senior account manager here at Eastern Digital. Recently, Seth, we went to Denver, went to a conference there, put on, it was Smart Marketer Live, put on by Ezra and their team at Smart Marketer, Molly Pittman, Ezra, John Grimshaw, bunch of great people there. It was a great time. We have other things we could talk about there in terms of people we met, conversations we had, but for people watching, want some of the main takeaways, because a few of them were kind of interesting, and wanted to hear what your thoughts were on main takeaways from the event. And yeah, I think that's about it. What were your top 3 takeaways?
Yeah, like you mentioned, we could have an endless conversation in terms of what we talked about with people and just, personal conversations, business conversations, that type of thing. But definitely some takeaways in terms of different sessions we went to, round tables that we were at, again, talking a little business and strategies with people. So, main one and one that they talked about a lot, really across a couple different, avenues, couple different sessions was scaling down, which sounds a little bit counterintuitive for what a lot of people in our industry are trying to do. You just want to see that endless scale up. You want to see more revenue. You want to see more efficiency. You want to see more everything. But it was interesting. They talked about scaling down as sometimes the means of scaling up. Sometimes you have to cut down your product line, kind of trim the fat in terms of, products that just aren't performing. Most people may think of that as a quote unquote failure or something where, hey, my business is, shrinking. We're not doing as well. People were even talking about, I got kind of excited. Sometimes revenue went down, but that just meant we were really trimming that fat, getting things a little more efficient, and then really able to be in a better spot to scale up from there. So, again, we can get stuck in that mindset of everything just needs to grow for eternity, but there are some points in the life cycle of a business, especially in digital marketing and e-commerce, where you really may need to scale down a little bit and really simplify things. That was one of the words they used a lot, was simplifying. Again, simplifying sometimes can have a negative connotation, but again, in business, sometimes that can be kind of that key to unlock that next level of growth is, shrink things down a little bit, product lines, couple different things. They talked about workforces and everything like that. And sometimes that's the way that you can really grow kind of moving forward.
Yeah, definitely. They showed this great graph that kind of is like the life cycle of a business. And, it's not always up, up, up. There's going to be down, just like the economy. There's always going to be ups and downs. And it's like, are the way to, quote unquote, scale up in those times, like you said, like scaling down. And I thought that was super interesting that you found as a takeaway, but it's definitely not what everyone talks about.
Yeah, we're not used to it.
Yeah, it was great. I love that one a lot. Cool. All right. So, second one here is also surprising to us, since we're Google Ads focused. We're almost all Google Ads. That's what we do. That's what we're specialists at. We like to consider ourselves strategists and really good with e-commerce companies. But this one was surprising. Why don't you share what you heard at the conference for this one?
Yeah, and this is definitely probably one of my biggest eye-opening takeaways, I would say, in terms of just a little bit surprised in terms of what I really heard around what people were talking about. A lot of meta focus, and obviously meta is a really big key for a lot of companies in terms of generating demand and everything like that. But when I was having conversations, introducing myself, hey, I work for a Google Ads agency, we're really focused on Google Ads. Like, oh, so you really just kind of focus on capturing brand, capturing the bottom of that funnel, really taking advantage of maybe what traffic meta is sending over, anything like that. That really showed me that we have a really big opportunity to educate people. We have proven success on a number of clients over a number of years of getting that demand on the Google side of things. Again, it's not just branded traffic. There's a really big opportunity, and now I'm noticing an opportunity some people aren't taking advantage of in terms of really generating that demand on the Google side of things. We have a bunch of clients who, we do obviously capture the brand. That's definitely not something I'm saying to not focus on. But just in terms of that opportunity to go a little bit more up the funnel on Google, is apparently, just based on what I was hearing there, something that people aren't really taking advantage of. And again, it's really sometimes even just education. We kind of pigeonhole some of these channels into, hey, this is what this channel does. This is what this channel does. This is where it fits in my funnel. But there's always opportunities to kind of expand beyond that and really take advantage of the different avenues. even because of all the changes coming to Google, it feels like every couple months we have a new campaign type or a new match type or new keywords or, whatever kind of new feature that they're trying to push to us. That's ways to take advantage of really going up that funnel. Again, Performance Max has a lot of capabilities. Performance Max itself is almost a whole funnel on its own. There's a lot of opportunities that I think people aren't taking advantage of on Google Ads, again, on that upper funnel, generating that demand, keeping people in that education process. And then, of course, Google does a really good job at really finishing the job at the bottom of the funnel, whether that's branded traffic, whether that's just really specific long tail keywords. There's a lot of different structures that can take advantage of that. And again, just at the conference, a lot of people were talking about, hey, Meta generates the demand, Google captures the brand, captures the demand, and that's it. But, just big opportunity. I think a lot of people are missing there.
So I'd be upset the viewers if we didn't say hi to Jasper in the background there.
Yeah, of course.
Readjusting herself on the couch.
Yep. Classic.
Yeah, it was super interesting that was a takeaway. I mean, again, we're, on the Google side where it just seems like common sense to us, but there is definitely a lot of it depends, one of our pillars here at Easton, because Meta definitely is demand generation, and we will see the benefits of that traffic on Google, but that's not the only purpose of Google. So, if you're an apparel brand, things might be a little different. Granted, we do have some apparel brands that do really well. And it kind of depends on niche and the business. Like we have one that sells apparel all to wiener dogs, dachshunds. So that's their thing, and there's keyword demand behind it. Fantastic. Now most of their scale is on Meta, but it's low-hanging fruit that we can capture. So it's just, again, I thought that was super interesting, that the lack of education around that Google is only branded and it's not non-branded, an opportunity there. So,
sometimes we just get stuck in our little channel bubbles, and it's like, hey, this is again what this channel does, and people just kind of hear what they hear, whether that's reading articles, podcasts, anything like that, and they really kind of just get stuck in that and don't really present themselves the opportunity to even try out all these, again, different features that Google's having, everything like that. So
it's the only thing that's ever worked for them.
Yeah, that
in
too.
Which case, you might need to come talk to us, because if that's the only thing that's going to work for you, either there's a problem the way things are being managed, or there's other problems in the business. But if you're making money from other channels, and then for some reason Google's not working, and it's probably the way it's being managed.
Bingo.
Okay. All right. Moving on to the last one. And all right. So this one is one we've been talking about a lot internally. And then we just kept hearing it here, which was fascinating. It was the timing of it was awesome. And this is one we're actually trying to help a lot of clients roll out right now. Want to expand? What is this one that I'm trying to lead the anticipation up to?
It's just, with the way that privacy is moving on the internet, there's obviously been a lot of changes around that. And this is the pixel. Everybody just kind of mentions the pixel, and this is kind of that gold star, that North Star that we're going to be seeing moving forward in terms of being able to essentially capture some customer data, even if they're not specifically filling out specific sections of contact forms or anything like that. Again, just with the way that privacy is going, that's going to be a really valuable way to get some remarketing audiences, get email marketing, kind of email lists built up and that type of thing. So it's something that we've looked at internally, and then, with how much we heard it at the conference, roundtables, sessions, everything like that, it really kind of validates what we're looking for.
Take a step back. What is the pixel? Because it's the platform we're referring to that calls it the pixel is OpenSend. It's like, what does OpenSend do?
So it's really just when somebody comes to the website, it captures a little bit of the information from them. So whether that's emails or anything like that, it really provides you some data, again, where they're not filling out a specific contact form. They're not necessarily getting to checkout. They are, we're just kind of getting a little bit of information from that pixel. Again, with the way that privacy is going and everything like that, there's just been some hurdles and some roadblocks that we've been able to, or have had to essentially face as we've gone through this, just in terms of remarketing audiences and different ways that audiences work on Google and everything like that. So it's just a way for us to get some of that information, even again, without some specific actions to be taken. Like you mentioned, we have OpenSend, but kind of just in the way that people were talking about it. It's the pixel this, the pixel that, which was, just interesting hearing that all around.
So to add some context, we kind of just say on average, if you're getting a 2% conversion rate from your traffic, from Google specifically, and there's higher, there's lower, it all depends, but let's just say average 2%. That means, we'll do a simple example here, 100 people, only 2 will purchase. And let's just say, for the example's sake, those 98 other people didn't even abandon cart or anything, so there's no way for you to capture their email. And then this pixel from OpenSend, for an example, and there's multiple platforms that do this, a fair few, not a ton. They're able to capture their email and make that a lead for you.
Yep.
Is this compliant with privacy?
Yeah, and that's always the thing that people ask when that's something that we bring up to them. Is this compliant? Is this something we're allowed to do? Are we going to get in trouble with this? But interestingly, it is actually something that's again going to kind of be the future, and again validated just in terms of how many people were talking about that. It seems like that's going to be maybe the way that we can kind of capture this, and even if it's not the future and the main way that we can capture some of this information, it's definitely kind of that next step that can add on to, again, like you mentioned, people filling out the actual checkout or filling out actual contact forms. Like, this is kind of that next step on top of that, really making sure you can build up your audiences and get your conversion rates up a little bit and that type of thing. So going to be really interesting. But yeah, no, it is compliant just in terms of information. We know that the internet has a lot of information on a lot of us, and unfortunately, that kind of is a capability that is there right now. But yeah, no, really, really interesting. And again, I think it's really going to be kind of the future of what we're seeing, just capture wise.
For our well-established brands out there, how well email marketing does for all of us. Yep. And how powerful it can be. Imagine if you're able to generate even more leads from the people who weren't already opting in or banning checkout. Like, that's because those people go into essentially a welcome flow, a dedicated welcome flow for this. And it's like, it's still a valuable lead, and you can filter it to people maybe only went to your product page or whatever, but those are quality leads coming to your site that you weren't able to capture before and communicate on a very efficient channel. So that's really fascinating. We'll throw out an example here. We won't name the client, but their particular client, have they generated over $1 million with this yet? They have high AOVs, extremely high AOVs.
Yeah, it's up there.
Yeah, if not at least hundreds of thousands easily. And this, how long ago did they start?
Ooh, I don't remember exact. Couple of months, maybe. I think.
Yeah. I know. We'll preface this that they have very high AOVs. They like 8-10 grand, something like that.
Yeah, around there.
So there's a little asterisk here when you hear that kind of number, but that's how impactful it can be. They're close to doing $1 million already on this after a few months. That's a lot of money that they weren't generating before. So that's a big deal. So yeah, that was fascinating. And then to go to a room full of like-minded, smart people, business owners, agencies, SaaS companies. It was probably, what did they say? It was like 70% business owners, 10 to 15%. My math's not going to line up here. On agencies, and then like 5% SaaS or something like that. It was heavy business owners, some agencies, and some SaaS. And it was, for a lot of people to be reflecting that, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and not to dive too much into the strategy around the pixel, but there was also some interesting things that people mentioned. You mentioned in terms of pixel, somebody comes to the website, they're you get the information, you add them to an email flow. But some people were mentioning, hey, maybe you want them to click to a page or click to 2 pages or even click to 3 pages. Because if you're just getting an email after being on a website for 5 seconds, 10 seconds and clicking off, that's almost raising a little bit more of a red flag. Hey, how'd they get this information? This isn't a brand I want to buy from if they're just capturing my information and blasting me with emails right away. So that was another, again, not to get too far into the strategy there, but I thought that was also really interesting. You want them to take some actions and show a little bit more interest before you start to again blast them with these emails and really start to get them into that flow. Strategy is probably going to continually evolve as this pixel gets more important and more people are using it. But even just in terms of that initial strategy, you made need a little bit more interaction than just, initially, blasting that email out and just hoping
Well,
to get that.
your gut reaction is, yeah, I'll take all the freaking leads as possible, but
Yeah,
until you
right.
like, what if you
Little
don't want
restraint.
to? Yeah, you don't want to pay for and get the lead for someone who got there, realized it's not what they thought, and then left. Whether it's price point or just whatever expectations they had. But people interact with the site some, and it's like, all right, these people are definitely interested to some capacity, and it's worth following up with them. So yeah, that's great initial assessment, because your gut reaction, at least mine was I'll take them all, thank you.
All the leads we can.
Yeah, but it's not always what's actually best for the business. So awesome. Well, any other takeaways or things that you have from the event? I think those were the biggest ones we had that were fascinating.
Yeah, those were definitely my top 3 takeaways, just in terms of what we talked about with people and interactions, different, again, sessions that they were kind of emphasizing some different things on. Just in general, it's really interesting going to these conferences, the roundtables and sessions, and you're just talking to all these different businesses, across a number of different product types, a number of different levels of business. Some of them are already established. Some of them are just starting. I met one who hadn't even started sales yet. They're really just in kind of the prototype phase. I mean, it's really interesting hearing just these steps that people are through and just their stories, where they want to go, and how somebody like us can really kind of fit into that puzzle and really help them, whether that's get off the ground or find that next level. Really interesting kind of even hearing the background and stories on all these people. So.
All right, I have one tidbit to share, and then we'll call it. But one of my favorite moments was, I think we even met the guy. His name is escaping me, but he stood up before we met him. He stood up and he's at the front. And he's like, "I'm not interested in selling my business, but if I did, here's what I do. Here's what I sell. What would that look like?" And then he got some feedback from, I think it was from Ezra live on stage, and it was just like, oh, it was hilarious. Like, I don't want to sell, but what would that look like?
Yeah,
but there was actually a decent amount of people there that ended up, had that in mind. Like they wanted to have a business to sell, or like that was in interest in the near future.
Yeah,
that's something we've talked a lot about in the last 6 months or so internally. So that's cool that we're seeing a lot more people starting to talk about that, at least from the conference we went to, of course.
Yeah.
So
true.
Awesome. Well, I think that is it for today's episode. Seth and Casey from Easton Digital. We will see you guys next time.
Yep.